Atiya is an amazing coach and speaker. She is thorough and she really makes you dig deep to find the answers within yourself.
When she talks, she is very bold in her delivery and focuses you to confront issues with no excuses. There are very few people out there who prick your consciousness the way she does.
She's really a class act. I'm glad that we had a chance to be part of her work.
Since accepting Atiya as my personal coach, my life has been constantly evolving. I'm discovering new ways in which I can tap into my full potentials. And the power that I have, I know I feel really good and confident about myself. And it's an amazing feeling being free, being in charge of your life. And I look forward to the end results of my sessions with Atiya, because I do believe that I have a lot more to offer.
You're such an exceptional woman and an amazing individual who a lot of people will remember for a very long time.
Hi, today I'm going to talk about how it's important to have a good marriage for your kids. It's important to have a good marriage because you could have a strong family unit for your kids. Having a good marriage is good because your kids will look up to you for having a good relationship, so they will have a relationship too when they grow up, and a good one. The marriage tree sounds like a really good tree to me, but what do I know? I'm just a kid, right?
In a world of experts where there are so many people professing to know the inside outs and to be professors at what they do, the question is, do they actually practice what they preach? Now, Atiya, the founder of the Marriage Tree, is actually my wife. So the question's got to be asked, well, Ingram, as a husband, does what she says works? Well, once I got married, Atiya said to me that my relationship would change with them, and she had told me about this when we got married. Didn't understand it at first, but now, 2 years into marriage, looking back, I realise now that the conversations that single people have are no way the same as a married person would have. I'm not telling you that marriage is easy, because it certainly isn't, and myself and Atiya do have our fair few arguments, but we're stubborn alike, but we love each other, and you have to come to compromise. The other thing I've come to understand in relationships or being married is the way people now, when you're married, people think that they look at your relationship and they want what they see in your relationship. They see unity. And so Atiya has actually taught me in how to conduct myself as a married man. And I don't mean conduct myself in the flirtatious sort of thing. I mean, it's just to understand when a woman's intentions are more than strictly business. And then you're single, it's one way you look at things. But when you're a married man, you have to look at things in a different way. So there's a distance. And I'm being taught this and learning this with Atiya. So it's a great tool, the Marriage Tree, and I would recommend it to anybody, not just people who are married, but to people who want to get married, who want to find their Mr. or Mrs. Right, because it works. And not only are we living proof, but we're practicing these principles every single day of our lives.
And what I do in the book is outline the story of Harriet Tubman, and how Harriet Tubman, although she was quote unquote in slavery, she had a free mind, and she was determined that no matter what her physical condition was, she was going to be free, because in fact she was free. Yes. And so she sent her mind there first, and then shortly thereafter she sent her body there. No form of subjugation can contain a free mind. So if you are free thinking, and if you don't allow people to put limitations on you, because the only limitations that we have as human beings are those that we place on ourselves.
Life and Purpose Coach Atiya has
behind everything that is in existence, behind everything we do, there's always a purpose to it. And so when you go into something in your life, whether it's your job, whether it's your family, regardless, when you go into it with a predetermined mind of this is the purpose, this is what I hope to gain from it, this is what I hope to get out of it, or this is what my intentions are, then the focus is to look in that mirror and look into the proverbial mirror to just find those beautiful things in you. We can pick out all the things that's not so good. And when you have the opportunity to look within, you discover some wonderful and fascinating things about yourself, which ultimately leads you on a journey to find. I want to thank Middlesex University, Marina, and the organizers here for actually inviting. That you put anything determines the character or the outcome of it. And so it's very, very important to know why you're doing what you're doing, even if you have a favorite color. Why is that your favorite color? Most people don't examine that about themselves, but that's about finding out who you are and not be content with learning the shallow part of yourself or just the what's at the surface, but really digging deep down within yourself to really find out, okay, who am I? And when you get to that point, that's when you can like really just conquer the world. As I want everyone in the room to go to someone that they don't know and introduce yourself. You got 30 seconds to do this. Tell them what you do and what's one of the most important things in your life.
What women to do is to take an inventory of yourself. People say all kinds of things about you, and people see you the way they see you, but that's not necessarily who you are. And unfortunately, sometimes parents, they see who you are, who you have been, but they never really see who you have the potential to become.
But the thing is, there are so many things that bring us together, and the similarities are those things that build the bridges for us as women. A lot of times, we're separated by culture. We're separated by age. We're separated by race. But it's the similarities that bring us together, and that's what I want to talk about
today. So the
today.
first thing I would say is to take an inventory of yourself. Find out what it is you love to do. Look at the things that you feel are your strengths and those things that perhaps you don't feel so good about. And then pick 1 to 4 of those things and you write them down on a piece of paper, and then you take them one by one and you go to work to make those changes. And no matter how small that change may be, remember, still change. Motion is
when a baby is born into the world, a baby doesn't come into the world and when they give their first cry, they don't cry in Chinese, they don't cry in British, they don't cry in English, they don't cry in West India, they cry. And in that cry, no matter where you're from, everyone knows what
Things
this cry
don't change
means.
unless you change them.
So true.
And so the first step you have to take is to look in the mirror, see who you are in your rightful perspective, not how others see you. And then you decide and you determine what it is or who it is you want to become, and then you go after it. Yeah. And sometimes you have to cut people out of your life to do that. And that's
sometimes we hit bumps in the roads or obstacles, and you look outside of yourself, and sometimes what's outside of yourself can kind of shock you or shake you. Yes. And it just takes that refocusing again and saying, you know what, I can get over this no matter what it is. I can get over it. I can overcome it. And then you have to do that soul searching, that internal reflection again. So it's a constant struggle for me.
When a person takes their last breath, they don't take that last breath in Chinese or Japanese or West Indies or English. They take that last breath, and everyone knows what that means.
It's a lifelong journey. Yes. It's a lifelong journey.
But somewhere in between that birth process and that death process, we get all of these walls that are constructed. We get all of these divisions that come along the way. And somehow we have to find a way to tear down those walls. We have to find a way to break through those barriers.
You know, education comes from the etymological root of educe, which means to bring out and cultivate that which is already within you. And so it's not a training, it's just really a refocusing, getting the person, rather than looking externally, to begin to look internally. So it's just
if my words that I put on paper or that I speak can just help make just one little change in your life, then I feel like I've done what my assignment was.
I'm in the studio with a life and purpose coach, Atiya, and we'll talk some more to Atiya after this.
Bye.